Hey, Corey Schaefer here. Just wanted to reach out to offer some support for your environmental biology or environmental science course. We have a lot of really good tools in mastering, and if you've been using it for a while, you may not know about some of the updates that have come in as they just kind of flow right into the assignments and study area automatically. I kind of wanted to just do a quick walkthrough of some of the different tools that you can use with students to better assess and help them better engage with content, and also resources that your students are going to have on their own. Um, if you have any questions or you want to figure out how we can make this best fit your course, please reach out. We can schedule a meeting, meet over Zoom. Hopefully soon we can meet back in person and we can look at some of these things. But for now, this is kind of just an overview. And my suggestion, if you're trying to add something new, is don't try to add all of this. Only add maybe one or two new things that fit what you're already doing, just kind of to better enhance the way that you already teach. So the first place we're going to look is we're going to go into the assignments. I have a couple assignments I built, just to kind of show off some of the other things we have. So I have, a reading quiz already loaded in here. I'm not really going to jump into that because I'm kind of assuming at this point in time you've already seen that. If you have questions about how to set one of those up or what's available in there to assess your students' learning, we can talk about that. The first one I'm going to open up is we have these video quizzes and we have current event topics in there. So I'm going to hit view assignment. And we'll view it as the students would. So this is a current event. Some of these are videos, some of these are podcasts, some of these are articles. So I'll open these up. These are available as a standalone as well. But this article is about sawfish numbers in global stronghold. Sawfish numbers are dropping and talking about more fishing protections. And so students would kind of scan through or read the article, and then they have a few follow-up questions. So if current events are important to you, this is a great way not only to put current events in front of your students, but also to assess where they're at with them, in their understanding. Let me slide this over. Here we go. The next one I've queued up, I kind of went straight to chapter 12 and was just looking at the water chapter. So students will have a video that they'll watch. These are embedded in the assignment, so there's no external links. They're never going to go anywhere. I'm going to mute this while I'm talking. So here we go. And these are totally accessible for all students, but they'll watch a video. And after they've watched the video about the freshwater resources, again, they have a few questions about them so that you can assess not only did they watch it, but did they understand what they were watching. So that's one. I'll go to our next question. We'll kind of look at that. Here we go. Next one is about water pollution. Okay, so it's another video about 2 minutes long. These are, for the most part, relatively short. And then students would answer questions about those. See, and then the last one I have in here is one of our video field trips. So we meet up with David Beach down in Cedar Key, Florida, and look at their water and sewage district, and then students would answer questions about that. So I'm not sure if the way that I have this set up would be the best way for students. I'm not sure if you'd put 4 videos in a row, but it might be really cool just to add one of these videos into your reading quiz. Here we go. All right. The next one I want to look at, and this is one I'm not sure if everyone's going to be able to use it. All instructors are going to like these, but I was a middle school math teacher, so the graphing assignments that we have in here, to me, are really cool and really important for students, to connect across multiple disciplines and understand. So the first one we have is is a full activity. It's going to take students 10 to 20 minutes to do. They're going to read through like an introduction. They're going to read through, here we go. Let's see. So this is more of the introduction. It kind of breaks down water usage by area. We have learning objectives, and then they end up building multiple graphs through this using the information. So let's see. So this type of graph, probably not a pie chart. Oh, sorry. Not a scatter plot. All right, there we go. I didn't really read it that closely, so um, here we go. Okay. All right, so not an expert, but year almost always goes on the bottom, and then drag the variable should place on the x-axis. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right, and then we'll plot the graph. Okay, see. So, like I said, this is a pretty in-depth activity for students to do. They'll continue through, I'll kind of pull this up so you can see what happens. So they go through, they build the graph, and they answer some questions to interpret. They build another graph, answers to interpret, and then make connections between the data and maybe some questions about fishing laws moving forward, or more controversial topics that kind of hard for our governments to answer. So that kind of gives you a good idea about that. And then we have shorter graphing activities as well, where they're just interpreting a graph. These take 2 or 3 minutes. They're given a graph, and they have a couple questions to answer about these. So if you are interested, if it's important to you for your students to be able to interpret graphs or to graph information, important to look at data, we have a lot of really good resources in every chapter for this. Here we go. So we kind of talked about the homework, the reading quizzes, the graphing activities, the video quizzes, and current events. We have these for every chapter. The next area we're going to look at is more of a resource area for your students. So I'm going to launch our study area. And this is where they can take practice tests if they are, studying for a chapter quiz, chapter test coming up over, we'll stick with the water. With the water, they can open this up and they can watch the different videos, read the current events that are tied to that chapter. If students want to do the graphic activities on their own, they can do that. If they just want to look at just the current events, they can do that as well. Here we go. So I'll pull one of those up just so you can see what it looks like. So, it looks like I may have already accessed this one and we lost it. Okay, here we go. Here's another one. So, plastic. So yeah, this must have been it. So this is a podcast that they can listen to, and then and we do have. If you want to assign it, we have questions that are available for that. But if not, you can just they can go through and read those on their own. If you run into any paywalls or have students having trouble getting to something, just let me know, and I'll reach out to our editorial team and make sure that we have those articles available to students. Let me go back to the course home. If you have students that either possibly aren't reading or maybe just aren't getting enough of the assigned reading, we have these dynamic study module tools that are really good. They appear to be an assessment, but in best practice, these aren't used as an assessment for students. They appear a lot like a reading quiz. But the way that we have it set up, students are really going to learn from what they're doing. So I'll show you what one of these looks like. So managing forests. And if you have these assigned to students, whether as for 0 credit practice or a homework assignment or extra credit, you get a lot of information on your data dashboard showing where students are struggling. So students will go through, they'll get a question, they'll answer it. That just said we can choose 2 answers if we want, if the students are unsure. Okay, and then just be patient with me. If I can figure out how to edit this part out, I will. So these are broken down into this entire learning module is broken down into question sets of 8. So I'm trying to skip forward to that 8th question. The reason why I want to get there is if you'll notice as we're going through this, when they're incorrect, they aren't getting the correct answer, and that's by design. That's to help them learn. So they're focusing on answering these questions from what they read. If they didn't read, that's okay. They'll still get a chance to learn. There we go. So it says we've done our 8 questions, and it says now let's go learn. So it's going to throw out the questions I got correct. Any questions I got wrong or were unsure about, it's going to pull the question back up over here. It's going to tell me the correct answer, what I answered, and then it's going to give me information on why this is the correct answer. And so students will go through, They'll review the questions that they missed, and then the questions they missed get put back into that module, and they'll start back over and they'll do another question set of 8. So the ones they get right get thrown out. The ones that they got incorrect will get mixed back in, and they're going to need to get those questions correct by the time they finish. Most students, well, all students, as long as they finish, are going to get 100% on this because they'll get all questions right. The penalty to them for not reading, but still doing this quiz would be the time. It's going to take a lot longer for students that haven't read. But most of this information, if they've read, should be pretty easy and take students about 20-25 minutes per module. So let me close out of that. I'm going to show one more thing in here. It's our learning catalytics, but I am going to kind of wrap up now, explain what this is, wrap up, and then I'll get into those because I know that the learning catalytics aren't going to be used by all instructors. So it's something that I want to give you an opportunity. If you've watched this far, thank you. Please reach out if there's anything I can help with. But our learning catalytics are the live student response, or like the clicker questions you may have used in other places. They come free with mastering. If you're teaching a synchronous course or an in-person lecture, it's a way for you to ask questions. I know when I taught, I would ask questions aloud. I'd say, okay, so, what's the pH of fresh water, right? And students would raise their hand. Well, instead, what you can do is you can say, what's the pH of fresh water? Students are on their phones, their tablets, their laptops. The question is sent to them. They answer their answer, and then that information gets immediately fed back to you, and you see, okay, most of my students knew it was 5.6. Okay, so these are the clicker questions. If you're interested in using these, let me know. It's kind of hard to get started, but once you've created a few, it really is a pretty easy platform with a preloaded library in there for you and students. I know that that's not right for everybody, so I wanted to make sure that folks that weren't going to use that had a chance to kind of close out and know that they, don't need to continue on. If this is interesting to you, I'll show you. I have one loaded up for our class. So let's see. So I have my courses set up. I've already created a module. That's what each of the question sets are called. I called Environmental Science M1. We had a handful of questions already loaded in here. These were all about water, so I just grabbed 4 questions related to, I think that they're all related to freshwater distribution. Once you have these loaded up, students come into class, you hit start session, you'll be given a course ID. So students will log into Learning Catalytics through Mastering, type in that ID number, and then as you're ready to, and then you'll have these questions preloaded. As this comes up in class, what percentage of Earth's fresh water is found in soil moisture, you push that out to the class, it appears on their device, they answer back, and then you get those real-time numbers for their understanding. And so I've kind of built 4 of these in. It's a really great resource. If you like having that immediate feedback on your lectures, or if you're in a Zoom class, if you like having that sort of immediate feedback, you can also author your own questions, but we have more than enough in there to get you through the semester. I think that I saw there's between like 120 to 140 questions just for environmental science. And I usually suggest if an instructor is using this, maybe do 3 questions a lecture at most. Just something to keep students engaged and also to help help you with your lecture as you move forward to know, is this something we need to talk about? Do we need to talk about the pH level of fresh water or of natural rainwater? If that's something we need to talk about more, you'll know immediately, if 80% of your students know the correct answer. I hope this was a helpful tutorial. Please reach out if there's anything at all I can help with. This is a great time right now to kind of start planning our courses for next semester, incorporating new ideas. And so I hope you enjoy your time away, and I look forward to working with you. Take care.